Okay. Hey, I'm trying to get crunk.
Tell them how we gonna go. Tell them what they don't know. Tell them what they better run. Stand up and get crunk.
Okay.
We come to get you. We come to get you.
A little bit more.
We come to get you. You better get crunk. We come to get you.
A little bit more. That's what we gonna do. You, me and my brother, we came to get queen. Won't stop, no, we keep on coming. Won't quit, that's why we keep bringing hits.
We drop in everything you pop in. From the yin yang twin begin to make your adrenaline pump right on through your skin and make that crump again. They were playing a beat, all came on back, cause we with the weed. We jumped out like a jack in the box, like an adder with a fat dude sack in my socks. Tell them how we gonna go. Tell them what they don't know. Tell them what they better run. Stand up and get crunk. We come to get you.
You better
We come to get you.
a little bit more.
We come to get you. You better we come to get you.
A little bit more.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't had enough, you better hide your lunch, because we about to eat that ass up.
I don't think I listened to the song that far. We ain't eating nobody's ass. We not worried about it. We ain't doing none of that. We had to stop the song. Like, no, it went a little too far. How you doing, Seth?
I'm doing all right.
Doing all right. Let's get closer to the mic. You know how to do it.
Yep, this better.
That looks a little better.
All right.
That song, that's the theme song. Well, the beat in the beginning. The theme song of Coach Primetime.
Oh.
Yeah, so when he says, "Give me my theme music," that's the song that they start playing. Gets into it. So let's how you doing? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. It's Sunday afternoon, just turned 12. I mean, nothing much. Just pretty much just woke up not too long ago. So
yeah, man, you take these Sundays. Well, I mean, Sunday's like the only day that you have to kind of like really sleep in, right?
Yeah.
To tell the people a little bit, how does your week go? I mean, Monday through Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. I mean, how does the week go for you? What is a week like in the day in the week of Seth Evans?
Pretty much start off the day with school. I'll go till 2:40. Then I'll have a little break till 3:30. Then I gotta go to study hall. Then after that, I gotta get dressed. Then I gotta go in the football field, the weight room, all that kind of stuff. That's pretty much every day. Up until Thursday. Thursday it's just like a review day.
Mm-hmm.
So not a lot goes on. And then Friday's game day. And then Saturday is a day where we have some conditioning. Just to, like, get the body back into it after a rough game. And then Sunday's pretty much my only day off, really.
Mm-hmm.
Except now if there's holidays, maybe they'll sometimes let us get a day off, but other than that, pretty much.
Yeah. So Sunday's pretty much the only day that you get to, kind of live life.
Yeah.
Without an alarm clock.
Yeah.
All the other days, alarm clock. Gotta get ready to do it. So before we even get into today's Father plus Son plus Football podcast, this week is week 3. Therefore, this is our third podcast of your inaugural varsity season as a sophomore. You're 3 weeks in. Okay, your team is currently 0-3. And that's not terrible. There's a lot of teams that are, 0-3. What do you give me a Reader's Digest? Although I don't think you know what Reader's Digest is.
No.
Give me a synopsis. You better know what that is. Give me a a quick look at your thoughts on things right now as it relates to yourself and football and things of that nature. Help me understand where you're at.
I would say I still got a lot to learn about, especially just about the whole football aspect. My football knowledge IQ needs to go up a little bit more. That's something I need to work on. That's something that we've been working on lately, especially with the cards that you drew for me.
Talk a little bit about that process.
All right, so basically, what my dad has been doing was looking on Huddle. That's the website where he looks at all the film, and he write down plays, and on the top of the card, he'll write the number of the play, and if there's more than one number, they'll usually run that a lot. So there's a card that he drew that had like 3-4 different plays on it. That was a play that they ran the most. Out of the whole game.
How do those cards help you?
They give you a little bit of an advantage. Like again, you can do a lot in a week, but most of the time you're gonna stick with the things that you already have. You don't want to have too much new stuff because it can get kind of confusing with the old stuff.
I mean, that's what the off season is for. Build up, and then you start paring down a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what's going on.
How have you been using these cards? I mean, this is last week, week 3 is where I decided to start using cards like flashcards, where I literally draw the play, draw what hash it was on, because I'm trying to help you as a defender. Okay. I've noticed a lot of areas. You talked about getting better. We talk about getting better. And, you never know how much you got to get better until you play.
Right.
And now that you're playing varsity, you think about where you thought you were in the summer versus now week 3 is in the books. Did you think during the summer that you were going to need to get so much better? Did you feel like you were prepared thoroughly? Or do you feel now that, hey, the varsity football is not what I thought it was? Where are you at mentally on all this?
I would say that's kind of in the middle. Some workouts, I would say it prepared me for a pretty good amount of stuff, especially conditioning wise. But varsity is still a whole different level than JV.
Now, for those who don't know, what in your opinion is the difference between varsity and JV? Because some people just think, JV is just a step down from varsity. Your thoughts?
Well, now, when people say that, that is true. It is a step down from varsity, but there's a whole lot more into aspects of that. So, like intensity wise, that plays a big role in JV and varsity. The kind of plays that are ran, the way people make tackles, the way people run is I wouldn't say they're two completely different aspects, but they're similar. They're similar in that case.
And so here we are in let's get to our next week 3 versus San Marin. Tell me a little bit about your preparation for San Marin. Tell the people a little bit about what you knew or know about San Marin.
All right, so talking about last week, I said I knew two quarterbacks that played for San Marin. One of them was on my West Coast Preps team, but I heard from his teammates that he moved to Oregon. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of a bummer. I was looking forward to seeing him. But the other dude was still there. So that was a challenge because I went against him pretty much every week for West Coast Preps. But one thing I found out is, one thing that I realized, I should say, 7-on-7 is still very different from actual like tackle football.
You better believe it. I tell people all the time, basketball players are great 7-on-7 football players, but they ain't putting on no part of them pads come the fall. You got guys who, I mean, they can become the MVP of a 7-on-7, 7v7 tournament. They would not sniff the field in tackle football. It's just different. And I don't understand why people don't understand that. You could be a superstar in 7v7s and be garbage in tackle football. It's just different realities. Different realities. And so I guess Jimmy Hughes.
Yeah.
That was the backup quarterback for San Marin.
Yep.
He has a brother. And they moved to Oregon?
Yeah, that's what I heard from his teammates. They said he moved to Oregon.
Wow. I didn't know that. I want to keep up with him because I like him. He's a good guy. I wouldn't, I think he's a good guy. And hopefully, now it's going to be, you got a 2-time starting quarterback, 2-time state champion, and he's in his senior year. Kind of like the tea leaves are written on him. You're probably not going to get a whole lot of opportunity to play your senior year. And so sometimes you got to make the decision to transfer and go somewhere else. And I guess that's what he's done. But I wish him well wherever he is.
Yeah.
Wherever he is. Now we got to find out where he is. Jimmy Hughes is a good dude. Mm-hmm. He's a good dude. And I wish him well. Talk a little bit about week 3. San Marin, the state champions came to town. They were there in Hayward playing against your team. What was your mindset going into this game, and how did the game play out?
Well, for starters, it is very, I would say it's very competitive to face a team that is a 2-time state champion. Especially so put it like this: 7-on-7s, the QB that we kept going against,
Dom Agrassi.
Give
him his props.
Yeah. He's a pretty cool dude. Now 7-on-7s, I thought he was a pretty good quarterback, but the way he played on last Friday, it seemed like 2 different people, really.
Okay, unpack that.
Like
I think I know what you mean, but I want to see if you can articulate it well.
I would say, he was kind of like holding back during 7-on-7s, and Friday night he kind of just like revealed a whole lot that I wasn't really prepared for. I would say, his intensity in 7-on-7s was very different from last Friday.
So what does that tell you? Young football player. A lot of you go to 7-on-7s believing 7-on-7s gives you an understanding of how good you will be in tackle football. What did you learn?
Doesn't really matter. And well, it matters in some cases, but 7-on-7s is way different from tackle football.
Yeah,
it's a whole different. I wouldn't say a whole different skill set, but it's kind of around there in that.
Yeah, I would say it's a whole different skill set. 7-on-7s, you have no linemen in there. You don't have to worry about line blocking downfield or anything. You don't have to worry about, there's no run game. You don't have to worry about first level, second level, third level. You don't have to worry about that.
Right.
You're playing, for those who don't know, your history in football has always been what position? Linebacker. So you're always at the second level. There are 3 levels on defense. First level, that's like where the line, the D line, D tackles, DN, all those guys are. Then there's the second level. That's where your linebackers are, or your rover that comes down from, the third level down. The second level is, your linebackers, your corners, things of that nature. And then your corners can always go into the third level. They play 2 levels, second level and third level. Your safeties are almost always third level. Your free safety, your strong safety. Sometimes the strong safety is called a rover. That's the third level. Almost always in the third level is the free safety. And then the strong safety / rover oftentimes drops down into the box as a run defender, depending upon how many backs are in the backfield, or if it's an empty set, or, whatever. There's all type of little nuances that defensive coordinators throw in there to help give their defense an advantage. However, you started out as a linebacker. Do you remember what your first read is as a linebacker?
Running back, goal.
Running back. So you're always read the run first.
Right.
Now you've been brought to varsity. Successful JV year as a linebacker, but you were brought to varsity to play rover, which to me, rover is like one of the most important defensive positions, because you are absolutely responsible for covering like a DB, and you're absolutely responsible for run protection, just like a linebacker.
Right.
It's probably the only position on the defense where you've got to be the perfect balance of both. But the rules are so different. The play of the rover is so different. You can't be at the third level looking at the running back. You got to almost ignore the quarterback and the running back if you're playing at the third level. If you're playing at the second level, you can still read the run first and still get to your drop as it relates to the pass game, but that depends upon the formation. Are they in an empty set? Do they got 2x3? Do they got 2x2 with one back in the backfield? All of these things matter. When I use these terms, 2x2, 2x3, one back in the back, does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Because for football IQ, these things have got to make sense.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah. I told you don't talk like that. What's wrong with you?
I understand what you're saying.
I understand what you're saying, but you say yes. You don't say yeah. What are you talking about? This is a professional interview, bro.
Yes,
you don't get casual. All right. Whenever a microphone, listen to me as a rule. Whenever a microphone is in your face, you better be on point. Don't start talking street. Don't start talking casual. When a microphone is in your face, it is always the opportunity. It is always the time to be professional. Make sense?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna correct you on that every time. Good. I'm glad you can find some humor in that, because it wasn't funny to me. I'm just saying. Yeah. Cut that out. Tell us a little bit about your play on Friday night. Now, tell me about your play in real time, and then post game when you got to get some advice, got to see some clips. What did you feel about your play in real time? How did you feel about your play? Game is over. Now you get to see the eye in the sky videos. Did it change?
In real time, I thought I did an okay job. I would say I could have done a lot better.
What does that mean? Help me understand. Your generation talks like that a lot. I would say I did an okay job. What does that mean when it comes to football? What does an okay job look like?
It's not great. It's not as good as I wanted it to be, I should say.
So wait, you just helped me with something. You said it wasn't as good as you wanted it to be. What if your standard isn't right? What if your standard is too high or your standard is too low? There's got to be a grading system. There's got to be something outside of you, outside of your own mindset, to help you determine if you did a great, good, poor job. And you spark something with me, because I think far too often young men grade themselves based upon their personal feelings. Well, nobody cares about your feelings. Did you do the assignment? Great. If not, why? Because good is not good enough and poor is unacceptable. So if you didn't do your job properly every play, if it wasn't great every play, if your energy wasn't great every play, if your alignment, assignment, execution wasn't great every play, Why? Isn't that what you practice to do?
Yes.
Do you ever practice to take a play off?
No.
So then what is an okay job? Help me understand it, because I don't, in good, great, poor, I don't know where okay is. What is okay? What is an okay job?
Well, kind of started to question myself a little bit.
That's okay if you're at I mean, it's okay. This is what relax, take a deep breath. Because you look like you're a little under the gun right now. You're smiling, but I don't think you're smiling on the inside. Take a deep breath. You're going to use terms that are appropriate to your age, right? How old are you?
15.
15. Okay. But when you are interviewed, your age will never matter. Never matter. And so this process whereby we're interviewing you weekly, this process is helping you mature for bigger things. See, this is only one mic in your face right now. This is only one microphone in your face. What are you going to do when there are 25 mics and notable names are on those microphone placards? ESPN, Sports Center, Hulu has live sport. What are you going to do when KCBS and Fox Sports and when those microphones are in? You see what I'm saying? So my job as your father is to prepare you so well that when you got 15, 20, 100 microphones, you can be just as cool as when you was doing a podcast with your father with one. It's my job, right?
Right.
So I want you to take a deep breath. Get your shoulders tall. Don't shrink, because right now you're looking shrunken. I want to see the confidence. I know you're laughing, giggling, but I know there's nervousness in that. I'm your father. I know you. I know right now that you want to burst out in tears, but you're not, because you don't want to be seen as no little punk. I get it. I know you. That's why I'm kind of pulling back a little bit. But these are the things you must go through. Football is not about every day being glorious. It's not about every week being glorious. But it is about being responsible no matter what the week. And when something comes out of your mouth, hear me good, you must be able to defend everything that comes out of your mouth. You cannot just talk lazy. You cannot just say something hoping nobody caught it. Every single word that comes out of your mouth will be scrutinized. So you better think fast, hear quick, talk slow. When you talk sure. So I want you to work on. Every week, we're going to get better at this. Now, you said you had an okay performance. I asked you, what does that mean? I'll ask the question again. What did you feel about your performance in real time versus what did you think about your performance after the game when you got to get feedback from coaches, you got to see film?
I would say I did a pretty good job in game. I did mess up a few times. I'll admit that. But that's also a process of getting better as well. Meaning, all right, so there's a whole lot of stuff that's in football IQ, basically.
Mm-hmm. The intelligence of football is real.
Right.
The more intelligent you are in football, the higher your football IQ, the better you give yourself an opportunity to be successful.
And I would say I need to get my football IQ higher so I can make less mistakes and do a better job on game.
Did you feel in real time that when did you realize you made a mistake? At what point did you say, you know what, I think I made a mistake?
I let a touchdown happen on me.
So, but you didn't know you had made a mistake until the touchdown happened.
Right.
And see, that's where I want to get to. That's what I'm trying to get to. Young football players, hear me good. The touchdown that happened to you isn't because you made a mistake on that play. The touchdown that happened to you is because you were making a whole lot of mistakes all the plays prior to. And a good defensive coordinator is going to be having somebody watch every one of you DBs. And the scouting report on you is going to be Seth Evans, when he's backpedaling, he's standing up high. In his initial backpedal, he then drops down, and then he takes 3 short backpedal steps that equal 1 yard. So if I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm saying run right at him and break. Run right at him and then break. If you line up 7 yards from a wide receiver, I'm going to run right at you. Because I'm going to, in 4 steps, I'm going to get to where you're standing because you had to drop and you took 3 steps to backpedal, 3 backpedal steps that only went 1 yard. You have no momentum. You have no momentum. So I can take a kid who runs a 5.5 in the 40 and he will beat you running vertical. Because when you're even, you're what?
Leaving.
And if the receiver gets even with you as a DB, are you in proper leverage?
No.
Come on, then you speak up. Don't
No.
all of a sudden start getting soft with your words now.
No.
Okay? And so the touchdown tells you that you made a mistake, but you're only acknowledging it was a mistake because there was a score. What about the mistakes that happened when there was no score? And that's what I'm trying to get you to understand as a football player. As a football player, good and bad don't happen because it's touchdown or no touchdown. The little things you do every single rep will eventually have something to do with the touchdown. If you do your alignment, your assignment, your execution, every single rep, the chances of a touchdown happening to you are very low. But if you only see a touchdown as, oh, I made a mistake, well, then you're missing the point. You're very much missing the point. Because the mistake of the touchdown was because of mistakes being made along the way. You don't get lost just on one. You don't realize you're lost just on one turn. You should. You don't realize you're lost an hour into being lost. You're lost because you made a mistake. You turned the wrong way just one time. And then kept turning and moving and going and shaking and figured you could figure it out. Next thing you know, an hour has gone by. And now you say, oh, I'm lost. Well, you've been lost. From the time you made that one bad turn.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
And so Booker T. Washington, Jr., the third, actually, one of your uncles, living in Atlanta, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. He said last week when you watched the podcast, he said, I want to see more video involved. And so I decided to try to figure out how to do that. And I did figure out how to do that. So you ready to get into some video?
Yes.
This is breaking. So we're gonna share screen here. And yeah, we're gonna go there. And we want to go to play. What's the first play we want to go to? 48, right?
Right.
48. Let's go to play 48. Okay. So in play 48, if I click that there, you see that?
Yes.
All right. So let's. So this is you right here, right? You see my cursor?
14.
That's you right there. So I'm gonna just let it run, and then we'll come back. Tell me what you see. Narrate.
That, like again, like you said, they're pretty much equivalent to 1 yard.
Right. Now listen. I got some good news and I got some bad news for you. Which one do you want first?
Always bad news.
Always a bad news first. So here you are right now, lined up in. There's a trip set here, right? It's a 3-by-1. There's one back in the backfield, right?
Yes.
What level are you at?
I'm at level 2.
You're at level 2. So at level 2, you can look in here, but because of trips, it's not advised, right?
Right.
So you're pretty much look like you're in one-on-one coverage.
Man on man.
Huh?
Man on man.
Man on man, which means we ain't looking back here. Somebody else is responsible for this guy, right?
Right.
Look at your stance. Matter of fact, look at all the DBs. Those are linebackers. This DB might be the only DB that is like properly squatted down, but his hands are low. Your hands are low. But look at how high your butt is to your knees. Can you properly backpedal?
No.
No, you can't. Now watch this. This receiver right here that you got one-on-one, he's literally going to take 4 steps and be right where you are right now. I'll run the tape. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.5 steps. Remember, you started right here.
Right.
You took 3 backpedal steps and you're 1 yard. Now turn to your hips. You see that?
I do.
You should be able to backpedal a yard
In one
every step. Every step should be at least a yard. So the problem with that you're going through here is your backpedal, you're not conscious of the amount of space you're chopping up when you backpedal. And so all he did was run right at you and break away from you. Now you got to turn your hips. The quarterback, let's go back. The quarterback, this is how I know the offensive coordinator is focused on you. Watch the quarterback. Does he look at anybody? Nope, he's straight. They know right now we're going straight for number 18. And Don McGrossi, number 18, number 16, he knows who number 18 is. He knows who you are, right?
Right.
And now the quarterback is fading away, right? Look, bro, under normal circumstances, that's great coverage. Look at, you got great coverage on terrible alignment and execution.
Right.
Look, imagine what happens if when you backpedaled 1 yard average and then you turned. You're ahead of him the whole time. Quarterback can't throw that ball. That's a pick. But I guarantee you right here at this play, you weren't even conscious that your backpedal steps were so choppy. Were you?
No.
You weren't even conscious of it?
Nope.
So this is something that you learned post-game.
Right.
This is why film study is so important. But they're definitely going to pick on you. Now, this same play, if they did this on the 50, he might still catch it, but you would tackle him. But in the red zone, you got to be perfect.
Right.
Because a perfect pass on a perfect route and the ball in perfect placement, all he's got to do is catch it and let his foot land on the ground. If he's in the end zone, it's a touchdown. And that's what happens here. There's nothing about how you backpedal that was proper. But what I'm getting at, and you want the good news.
Yes.
Your athleticism is off the charts. Your athleticism is off the charts. You almost was where you needed to be, right?
Right.
You were almost where you needed to be with bad backpedaling, with bad stance. Let's go back real quick. Take a look at this. So we have, wait a minute, where am I going? Here we go. Here's another thing I noticed. And I know he's nitpicking. No. This is coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how high you are at the start of the snap, right?
Right.
What's the first thing you have to do? Let's look. See how you had to drop? Well, let's not. Why let that be? That's waste. Let's already be dropped. So the only thing we have to do is backpedal. And let's make sure that our front foot is front loaded. We know we're backpedaling first. Or we're one-on-one. We're not even reading the run. We're one-on-one with this guy. He's not firing off the ball to block. He doesn't have that history. If I'm watching film on him, I know that he gets off the ball differently when it's a pass play versus when he's got to block somebody. And is he interested in blocking you?
No.
Heck no, he's not interested in blocking you. But he knows that with bad backpedaling, he knows he can get a step. But look what it took, man. This is the good news about your athleticism. It took a doggone perfect pass, perfect route, and perfect ball placement to beat you. That's what it took. You had bad alignment, bad execution, bad assignment, and still you almost made the play.
Another thing I also need to do is wrap my head around.
Well, I mean, let's go back. You by the time you turned around, yeah, you gotta get your head turned around. But not necessarily. If you know how to play through his hands, once his hands go up, your hand goes up in between his hands. You get what I'm saying?
I understand.
But you were just, bro, I'm telling you were just about a half a step from stopping this from being a touchdown. But you made so many mistakes that half a step mattered. You see how many mistakes you have to make for it just to be, and it was still just a half a step.
Right.
It's all about your angles. It's all about doing the small things the best way. Now, here's the other thing. I don't want to blame nobody, but your DN right here and your D tackle right here, your D tackle's coming in here for the line your D tackle's coming in there and has the running back. Your DN follows the running back one step, giving the quarterback one step to release that ball. If your DN does his assignment and comes right to the quarterback's outside leg, he can't even throw that ball. That's how close it was to not even being thrown. But there is no doubt this play was designed to throw it on you. Because look at these two receivers. Let's go back. Look at these two receivers. This one here, your 1 and the 3. Look at it here. That play was designed to isolate you, and they isolated you, and on this isolation, you were too high. You had to drop down to backpedal. You backpedaled 3 steps in it with that equaled 1 yard in 3 steps. And yet you were a half a step from making the play. So on one hand, I'm like, wow, that's pretty doggone impressive. But it was a touchdown nonetheless.
Right.
Understood?
Understood.
Touchdown nonetheless. Give me your thoughts, your overall thoughts on that.
Comparing on what you said earlier about my standards, I would say I do have my standards. I wouldn't say a little bit, but I would say they're high for my liking.
What do you mean by that? I don't understand that comment.
Meaning like my standards are.
Where do your standards come from? Who gives you your standards?
Myself.
You can't have. I mean, I can understand what you're saying, standards for yourself. But what about playing for your coach? What about your coach's standards? What about your father's standards? Sometimes the standards for yourself give you the grace to not do your job. And you got to have another set of standards that don't give you that grace. Right. You're not playing for yourself. If that's the case, you could coach yourself. Are you prepared to do that?
No, I'm not.
No, because it's too much about football you don't even know yet.
Right.
So you talk about standards for yourself. I understand that sounds like a pretty good soundbite. But when it's dissected by people who know, what do your standards have to do? What are you talking about your standards? Especially when your standards allow you to stand too tall at this pre-snap, drop down at pre-snap, take 3 back pedals that equate to 1 yard, and then just try to run him down with your speed. And if it's a perfect pass to a perfect route and to a perfect part of the field, then you get beat. Then you start talking about standards. What about the standard? If you want to have standards, your standards need to match the standards of those who know the game. You're too young to create your own standards. You understand me?
I understand.
Get that out your mind. Any standard you believe you have, make sure that that is a standard of somebody you know knows the game and has been responsible for training you in this game. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Does that sound harsh?
No.
Because I feel like I'm sounding harsh. I feel like I'm sounding more like father than I am sounding like coach. But hey, it is father plus son plus football podcast.
It is.
So I do not apologize. I'm going to be on both sides. I'm going to coach you up and I'm going to father you. And because you out there bearing my name, you look like me. You're a better version, though. You're a better version of me. But I know the way.
Right.
And so where I did not have what you have, because you have what I did not have, you going to get everything that's necessary for your own success. You know what's crazy? I tell your mom this all the time. I say, you know what? One day his name's going to get called and he's going to, be in a great group of people. And he's going to get up and he's going to thank you. Thank you, Mom. She ain't teach you no backpedaling. She ain't taught you. She don't know no levels of the game. To her, if you on the field, you did great. No matter what. No matter what. What do you got to say about that?
I'm going to shout out my whole family regardless. I'm going to shout out my whole family regardless.
Yeah.
In order of which it happens, I don't know. It's just it's gonna happen down the line, but I know exactly who helped me from day one. So it's always been you.
Uh-huh. Let's go to this play.
Well, one quick question.
Yeah.
Would you say there is a major difference between a standard and a goal?
Yes. Yes, I would say there's a major difference between a standard and a goal. Goals are personal. I can't give you a goal. But goals outside of the known standard aren't goals. They're hopes. It's wishful thinking. It's leprechaun behavior. You don't want leprechaun behavior. Make sense?
Yes.
You can have personal goals, but your goals must be in complete compliance with the standard. So if you don't know, and the standard is an agreement between you, your position coach, your coordinator, your head coach, and the team. Those five. The standard is never individualized.
No.
The standard, for you to have standard, it involves your head coach, your position coach, your coordinator, your teammates, and yourself. That's the standard. Right?
Right.
Now, once you know the standard, those 5 points, those 5 perspectives, once you know that standard, now you can build goals because your goals will line up with the standard. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So here's another thing I noticed that we're going to have to work on. Can you see this? This is play 66. You see the video? You do not see the video. Okay, so let's do this. Because I'm screen sharing. You should see it.
No, I see it.
There we go.
There we go.
Is that better?
Yes.
All right. So we're screen sharing here. What formation are they in?
They're in trips.
They're in trips.
3x1.
3x1. There's one back in the backfield. If there's one back in the backfield, will you be in the box?
No.
So here's the question. Should you be looking in the box?
No.
Who should you be looking at?
My first step, which would be number 3, which would be a 3 receiver.
This guy, the number 3 receiver. You want to see if he's going to come inside.
Right.
And then your next read is this guy, right?
Right.
And then you got this guy. All right.
3 to 2 to 1.
Right. But let's watch you. You're right here. See the cursor? No, notice what you're doing. You see what you're doing pre-snap? You're looking in the backfield, which to me is more problematic because you're not supposed to be looking in the backfield, right?
Right.
But you are looking in the backfield, meaning you saw the quarterback hand the ball right there. You're already coming out of your back pedal. None of the receivers came inside towards you because it's a run play. They got to block most dangerous man. And the most dangerous man is the man over them, not you. So if this play is blocked right, if I'm an offensive coordinator, I've drawn this play up to block everybody but the safety. And I'm betting, this is what I would say if I was a coordinator, I'm just betting that my running back can beat their safety. Right? You've heard me say that before, right?
Yes.
You have already come out of your back pedal because you recognize before he crosses the line of scrimmage is right here. Line of scrimmage is the 28. He's still at the 31, 32, 31. You've already recognized that the running back has the ball. He's not gotten the ball for 2 steps, and you already know he has the ball. That's that athleticism I'm talking about. Now, the truth is you're at the 3rd level. You shouldn't have even been aware of that. Your first step should have been inside to see if there's an inside receiver. Once you realize the receivers inside are not coming inside towards you, then you rally to the ball, okay? But at the 3rd level, there are at least 7 guys at the 1st and the 2nd level, and you got to trust, right, that they will make the play on a single back. And if they don't, then you can come and help.
Right.
Let's look here. So you're going to come, look at the angle you take. This is what I've been getting on you about lately about angles. You recognize it, right? But look at how you took your steps, and your steps are bringing you down this way, when your steps should be bringing you down this way. You see my cursor?
Yes.
Right now, your steps are taking you this way, right? Your steps are taking you down the 15, 16, 17-yard line, meaning you're not going to meet him until he gets to the 20, right? It's not good enough. Your steps should be meeting him right here at the 15. I mean, at the 25. Your steps, your hips should not be turning towards the line of your hips should not be turning towards the sideline. It's almost as if at this particular point, you are anticipating that he's going to be here. You're trying to catch him here. You can't do that. And look what happens. Look at your arms. You're a track and field kid, right?
Yes.
What does this say about your arms? Because I know you cannot be aware that you're running like this. Look at how you're running. You look like you're swimming. You might as well join water polo. Look at your arms. Look at this back pedal. You got the wrong angle. You're swimming, and he's not even faster than you. He may be fast as you. And what if I told you if 2 people are the same speed, who's going to win? Who's going to win? If 2 people are the same speed and they're running a race against each other, who's going to win that race?
Whoever's more straight. Or no.
You're killing me.
You're
killing me. You're killing me. I say this all the time. If 2 people run the same speed, same time, how can I predict who's going to win that race?
Whoever's more technically sound.
That's the answer. I knew you knew the answer. The one who runs more technically. Look at how he's running. And look at how your arms are running. Your arms are running in a fashion that your hips are constantly going left to right, left to right, left to right. Now it's time for you to make a tackle to the left. Your hips are to the right. Now you're trying to swing your hips back to the right to make the tackle, which means you got to over-exaggerate your arms. And now in the time frame it takes you to do that, because he's running straight, he's now beyond you, a step on you. And when you run the same amount of time, you run the same time, guess what? And he's a step on you, you can't make it up. Touchdown number 2. Your thoughts. Now that you've seen that, your thoughts.
Sorry, that was a terrible back pedal. Especially with the way I turned my hips. That was one thing that we're working on Saturday, me and you, 1-on-1.
Yeah.
So that's gonna get better. As well as my angle. The angle is bad. The angle is terrible. The only reason why I swung my arms because
You're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna let you do that. You didn't even know you were swinging your arms. I get. You cannot tell me you knew you were swinging your arms and you were swinging your arms. You can't tell me you knew. You had to see film to see that. But now that you've seen film to see that, guess what? You got to know that's what you do when you are not thinking. Football, son, listen to me. Football cannot be played when you're not thinking. Thinking is a gift from God. It is who you are. It is who you are. And if you don't use the gift that God gave, that is you, the ability to think, you're going to squander opportunity. If you're not using what God gave you, this is in every facet of life. I don't care if it's algebra. I don't care if it's bio. I don't care if it's music or photography. You got to use the gift that God has given you. And the greatest gift that God has given you as a human being is the ability to think. And to refuse to think is to arrest, to quarantine the talent God has given you. God has given you a lot of talent. You're not a sophomore on varsity because you're not talented. You're not a sophomore on varsity because you're not athletic. You're not a sophomore on varsity because you can't do the assignment. You're not a sophomore on varsity because somehow they just need numbers. They don't need you. But with all of these positive reasons why you are on varsity, they mean nothing every time you're on the field and you're not thinking. I know there are people say, well, you can't overthink. Well, hell, we ain't talking about overthinking. We just want to think. Right. Let's think first before we start talking about overthinking. We'll get to overthinking once we realize we've been thinking. Every defensive play you're in, you have to be thinking. Period. Make sense?
Makes sense.
I got one more video.
All right.
One more video. This is video 82. Video 82. Let's click that one. Now on this one,
I don't see anything.
On this particular video, let's get there. You see that there?
Yes.
On this particular video, remember the first video?
Yeah.
The first video, your back pedal was terrible, which didn't allow you to turn properly. In the second video, your eyes were in the backfield when they weren't supposed to be in the backfield. Right?
Right.
This video is all of that. Notice already how high you are. You see that? That's you right there, right?
Right.
Notice how high you are. Your teammate, he's low, but he's got all of his weight in the front. That could be a little concerning. But what I like about your teammate here is he's low. This teammate, too high. This teammate, standing straight up. This teammate is just like you, too high. You are too high, right?
Right.
Look, you got this deep half of the field. You either got this deep half of the field or you got this quarter of the field. That's what I can tell by the defensive set. You either have a quarter of the field or you have this half of the field. Now, it makes no sense on the 10-yard line to be in cover 2 because you ain't getting over here.
No.
So that leads me to believe you got to be in cover 4 because you're not manned up on anybody unless you were manned up with the running back, but you wouldn't be at the 3rd level. If you were manned up with the running back, you would come down to the 2nd level. So at level 3, can you operate like a linebacker? No. So you shouldn't even be looking in here. But you're staring in there. Who should you be keying on? This guy. This is your threat. Right?
Well, it was black. Black will be our other man coverage. So over on the bottom of the screen, these two are our man. So the person who's coming to slot receiver is Sam linebacker. So he's called.
So if you're man, who do you have if you're in man?
Everybody else is already taken. So I had the running back, but I was in level 3. So that's also a mess up on my part.
Well, then that's a major problem. You can't be in cover 1. You can't be in man-to-man covering the running back and at the 3rd level.
Right.
Which, now that you said that, it causes me concern because that's the same running back. Maybe you're scared of him right about now because he's already turned you around in the spin cycle and went into the end zone for a touchdown, and now he's even closer. And you don't want none of that. Let's run the play. Again, good news, bad news first.
Bad news.
Bad news. You got your eyes in the backfield while you're at level 3. At level 3, your eyes are in the backfield. You bit on that fake. You see that?
Yes.
You bit on that fake. One step. You took a step back, 2 lazy back steps that didn't equate to 1 yard. And you took 1 step inside, and that's all that quarterback needed. Now, good news. The other good news is it would have been good if this guy here would have got a hand on him. This is why I don't believe it's one-on-one. I don't believe this is man. Because look at how he plays. Look at how he's going to play. He's not looking like he's man. He slips and falls, and you take 1 step. You took 1 step right here. Boom. That step you took right there. This quarterback, is he looking over here? No. He's looking at this guy the whole time, meaning, again, they're picking on you. There was something that the offensive coordinator of San Marin saw about you, and they exploited it. And look, you are about, in this point, you are about 2 steps away. Now, notice you took a step, 1 step, 2 steps to get back, 3 steps to get ahead. Now, you take those same 3 steps and let them just go straight to your target. That's a pick with all of this green. And this quarterback we know ain't catching you. That would have been a 99-yard pick 6. 99 yards. But you took 1 step inside, which required you to take a couple of small steps, the equivalent of 3 big steps, back to the outside. And by that time, again, look at your arms again. Flailing around. Touchdown. But look at what your athleticism did. Your athleticism put you in a position to where you were very close to making that play. So I get it. On one hand, I get it that, you feel like you're doing a good job because you're so close to making the play. But let me ask this question. How comforting is it to be so close to making a play when that play is a touchdown?
It's very frustrating.
San Marin scored 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, and every one of those touchdowns involved you. What's your thoughts? That's hard. That might be a hard pill to swallow, but it's your pill to swallow. How do you reckon? How do you deal with the fact I'm a sophomore on varsity? All right. 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. All of them have your fingerprints on them. Guess what? Those 3 touchdowns create 6 highlight films for San Marin players. 6. All starring Seth Quinn Evans. You can say what you want to say. In the end, you are making the huddle highlights of your opponents. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't want to be on anybody's highlight tape.
You already are, though.
I know I already am.
You're on from last week. Last week against Reardon. You're on at least 3 highlights. Right now, there's about 9 videos where you are the subject of somebody's highlight. How do you deal with it?
That's frustrating for me.
Now explain frustrating. I want to hear it.
Frustrating, meaning like the mistakes I made caused me to, or I should say not cause me to, but to reveal bad habits. I would say those bad habits not only allowed them to score, but allowed kind of my mind to like lower down, meaning like my emotion. Now the coach was talking about playing with emotion, playing with love, but not only did I play with love, I played with frustration as well.
Well, you can't have both.
Yeah.
You got to be hot or you cold. You can't be lukewarm.
Right.
And I understand the coach. You got to play with love, but if you don't know what that means, you can't execute that. You got to play with what's natural. Now, what he doesn't want, when he talks about playing with love, what he's really saying, he doesn't want you to play with hate. He don't want you going out there want to hurt nobody. He wants you to play within the rules of the game. He doesn't want you to go out there, trying to kill somebody. He wants you to play within the rules and respect of the game. Right?
Right.
But you can't go out there and play with love trying to figure out, well, what is love? I'm gonna hug him. I'm not going to be so hard on him. That's not football. That's some BS. That ain't football at all. That ain't love. And so let's get to this. We talked about this last week. The possibility of JV. You remember that conversation?
Yes.
What do we remind the people and remind me of what you understand about what we said. If you weren't going to get better.
If I wasn't going to get better, then they're most likely going to talk about me having the possibility of getting back down to brought back down to JV.
And your thoughts on that were?
I thought it was a very high insult.
Very high insult?
Yeah.
Yeah, but insults are reserved for when people are wrong and saying something about you. Do you think anybody would be wrong for sending you down to JV?
No.
So then you can't classify it as an insult. I understand it feels like an insult, but the truth of the matter is the eye in the sky don't lie. Now, the question is, here's the question. The question is, are you refusing to get better because you're not putting in the work to get better, or are you undercoached? I can't answer that question.
I would say a little bit of undercoached.
I'm not asking you to answer the question. You don't want to put your position coach. You don't want to throw him under the bus because young men like yourself are good at throwing somebody else under the bus. And after all, how do you know you're being undercoached? If you're being undercoached, that means there should be some things about the position you know about that your coach isn't teaching. And I don't think that's true for you. I know if you're being undercoached. I know that. But we're not here to talk about that.
Right.
You know who Coach Kent Turner is?
Isn't he one of your defensive coaches?
He's the DB coach for JV.
Right.
Coach Kent. So as you know, I had a conversation with your head coach and your coordinator.
I'm aware.
You're aware? Tell me the conversation then.
Well, I know. I'm aware that you had a conversation with him. I didn't know exactly what went on in the conversation, but
okay. Well, my conversation is he's a sophomore on varsity, and I feel like his confidence. I feel like there are some things that he needs to know that he's not getting, and I am not interested in a season of him being a sophomore just not growing. I think your confidence is a little rocked because the intensity that I'm used to seeing you playing with football, I don't see it at all. You just look like a participant. You look like a kid who's been like the starter is hurt and they're throwing you out there because they got to play you. If they didn't have to play you, you would be sitting on the bench cheering on your teammates, handing out Gatorade bottles during timeouts. Now, I know you're much better than what is showing up on film, but I can't ignore what's showing up on film. And so I talked to the coaches and I said, hey, look, I've made it very clear to the head coach. I did not talk as a coach among them. I talked as a father. I made it very clear that I'm speaking as a father. If my son cannot be trained, if he is not going to get the attention necessary to be successful, then I'd rather him be put at JV where we can oversee his development and he will be able to return back to varsity one day and he will be wiser. He will be a lot more prepared for varsity because right now I just don't think you're prepared. And I shouldn't say it like that. It's not that I don't think you're prepared. I don't think that you have been given the necessary tools to be successful. I don't think the right talking points have been thrown in your direction. And so I told the coaches that. I said, you guys, you know, those of you who pray, lift it up to the Lord. That's the kind of guy I am. Coach Kent sent me a message yesterday. I asked him permission, could I read it? He said, hey, man, I'm thinking and praying about you and your son. Here's what came to me and what I heard. So when a man says, here's what came to me and what I heard while talking about praying, who's he talking about?
Me.
He's not talking about you. No. He's talking about praying. He was praying for about me and you. But if he's praying, who's he talking to?
He's talking to God, or he's talking to you. Both, actually.
Are you paying attention to the question? Sit up and listen to what I'm asking you and answer the question with some dadgum sense. Right. If a man is praying, who is he talking to?
He's talking to God.
He's talking to God about who?
About me and you.
And then he says, this is the answer I got. Who did he get an answer from?
God.
And who did he get an answer regarding?
Me and you.
There we go. This is what he said after praying about you and I. This is what he said. He said, quote, this dad for you, end quote. He says, this is what he says. You are a great dad. You see it clearly in Seth's approach to life. He's confident, freedom, and interactions in the world. While he is young, in many ways, he is very mature. He says somehow, somewhere, his confidence has been shaken. Talking about who?
Talking about me.
Right. He says the football drills and additional work will certainly help to improve his confidence. He's talking about the football drills and additional work that I'm going to be doing. Right. He goes on to say, but more importantly, just being an awesome supporting dad who advocates and protects him when he feels uncomfortable or uncovered will get him back on track. Your love makes him whole. He says, whose love makes you whole?
Your love makes me whole.
Mm-hmm. He says, if there is ever a decision, listen to this. If there is ever a decision to be made about him coming down to JV, let it be his. And you crazily support his decision. That young man is going places. And football is only one of the vehicles God will use. He says, you're a really good coach, but your dad's skills far outweigh your football accomplishments and acumen any day of the week. We need more dads like you, sir. And then he said, apologies if I said too much. Of which I responded, I accept your words as true. I will comply. The Lord used you. Do you understand the contents of that message?
There's a whole lot of background in that information, basically meaning that your whole supporting system, all of your support. It helps me not only as a football player, but as a person who has great character as well. And the possibility of being a JV, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean it's like all bad. That doesn't mean I'm not good. That doesn't mean I'm not trying or not doing as well as people thought I would be. But to use it as a learning point to get better.
Mm-hmm. So what did he say I should do? He says
to let me figure out my decision and for you to support my decision.
And what do you feel about that? This is a man, fellow coach, who says to me, "Hey, Dion, I know you mean well. I know you want your son to do well, but don't make that decision. Let him make that decision and support whatever decision he wants to make." How do you feel about that? And understand, this is what he said God told him. After praying concerning you and I didn't ask for him to do it, that way. But after praying for you and I, this is what he said the Lord told him. And this is what he told me. Let it be his decision. And you crazily support his decision. What are your thoughts?
If I'm correct, that's the first time I've really heard somebody really say something to you and to you and about you and me. It doesn't ring a bell of any other coach really saying that. So that is quite touching. I would say I would like to stay on varsity because I know you're also going to be helping me with a lot of other stuff. You and possibility of Coach Kent, you bringing along as well. So I would say I want to stay on varsity. That's I want to be on varsity regardless. And I know you're going to be helping me out. So that's.
Do you believe my help will help you be better on varsity?
Yes, especially with the stuff that we did Saturday with the one-on-one training on the angles, the way how I'm already supposed to be in a stance, the way I'm supposed to break down for a tackle and all that stuff. I mean, that's pretty much already helped me. I've been thinking about that past couple nights. So,
all right. Well, whenever a man that I know knows the Lord says he's praying to the Lord, and this is what the Lord told him to say, and then he was bold enough to actually tell me what the Lord told him to say, I had to believe him. So if your desire is to stay on varsity and we'll just continue training you in the background, then I'm going to believe God through brother Kent Turner. And I'm going to crazily support your decision. So we will not have any more conversations. I will not have any more conversations. We will not have any more conversations because you have told me you want to stay on varsity. We will have no more conversations about you going back to JV. We're just going to have to work on the side. We'll just have to keep getting better on the side, and we'll see where this goes.
All right.
Your thoughts?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Teammate shout-outs. Who are your shout-outs this week?
Now, this week, I wouldn't say that there are any specific shout-outs. I'll say pretty much the whole team because we kept fighting as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we did all make a lot of mistakes. That's something that we all need to work on. But we got through it together. Now, there were some times where it was like halftime after the game where, of course, we're mad. We're down. We're losing. All football teams get down a little bit when you're losing. It's a part of the game. You want to win, obviously. But the way in which we pick each other up, especially from that first half to the second half, I would say we had more intensity in the second half than we did in the first half. That's my opinion.
Okay.
And then Saturday's practice, there wasn't really. I mean, you could tell like there was like a little bit of a weird mingle vibe going on. It felt dark. But as practice went on, you could start to feel like it started to lift it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though it's conditioning was conditioning was a lot. It was a lot on Saturday, but we still had fun during that though. During conditioning, during the weight room, some people got in an ice bath, and some people throwing water on each other, ice and all that other stuff. That was fun to see. That was fun to experience.
All right. Well, it is what it is. We look to see what happens in week 4. Who do you guys play this week?
Livermore.
Livermore High. The Mustangs? Are they called the Mustangs? I think there's something like that. I don't know. Maybe they're the Broncos. I don't know. Livermore High. We got to go to them, right?
Indeed.
We'll be ready. Any last words?
I just want to thank you guys all for watching. And I vow to get better. And I know for sure that my dad is going to help me out. So the thing I'm going to be doing is listening to him. He's going to help me get better. And my job is to just keep it.
Deuces McDeuces.
A little bit more.
Come to get you. You better come to get you.
A little bit more. Is that's what we gonna do.